If you're watching this video, you want to get better at slap battles. Today I'm going to be showing you 3 common mistakes that beginner players make and how to avoid them. The first and most important thing is choosing the right glove. With the wrong glove, you end up having problems. I'll be assuming that you are a new player, and I'll only be recommending gloves you'll be able to actually easily access early on in the game. In the beginning, you'll notice that you only have access to the default glove. If you haven't already, you want to quickly get up to about 175 slaps so that we have enough gloves to work with. One of the gloves you'll unlock early on is called Extended. It's great to learn how to do proper spacing and to be able to get consistent slaps at range without putting yourself at risk. Of course, there's a drawback that if someone gets within your range, you're kinda dead. So I'm not too sure I'd recommend starting out with this one as soon as you unlock it, but feel free to give it a try if you'd like. I oftentimes see a lot of new players using Diamond, but due to its lacking stat profile and lack of offensive ability, I would say you should probably avoid it unless you're going for one of the badges where you have to use it. The next glove worth mentioning is Duel. This glove has an ability where you double your slaps, so instead of getting 1 slap per hit, you get 2 slaps. This is really useful if you're trying to grind up your slap count to get a little higher, but it's not that great for actual play. So I'd say you can use it to grind, but if you're actually talking about the best glove, then of course this is not going to be on that list. The next glove is Brick, and I think this is a pretty interesting one because it can be quite good if you mesh well with its playstyle, but I would suggest that you try it out for yourself and see if you like it, because it kind of can get a little repetitive where you're just laying out a brick and you're just kind of trying to kite around it and get the player to step on it so that you end up hitting them, but I don't know, it's just kind of not really for me, I guess. So I don't really use it much, but if you mesh well with it, go for it. Try it out. Maybe you'll love it. It does have a mastery, so you can take this glove pretty far if you'd like. The next glove we're going to cover is Snow. Basically, whenever you hit someone with this glove, it actually slows them, and it even reduces their jump height, which is very useful if you're trying to knock them off the edge and they're trying to like jump behind you and run away, and overall just be really annoying. It's actually a pretty good glove. I would recommend you absolutely play with this when you unlock it, and just use it until you unlock something better. Another glove that players use pretty early on is Pull. And of course what it does is makes it so that instead of it launching people away from you whenever you slap them, it actually pulls them behind you. And that is a pretty interesting concept. But we kind of run into the issue of needing to be near the edge of an island to actually be able to knock anyone off, which can be a pretty big drawback in a lot of ways. For starters, you're near the edge, which means if the person you're fighting hits you before you hit them, you're going right off with no way to counter that. There's nothing you can do at that point. It's just over. Secondly, of course, is the fact that you're a lot more appealing of a target for other people to come in and just jump on you and knock you off, and there's nothing you can do to really escape that because your glove doesn't do anything to help you escape. At least not reliably. So you can mess around with this, but really, it's a glove that I see a lot of people use and just kind of get dumpstered because they're trying to make something of a glove that's not really going to help them very much. The final glove we're going to look at in this section of the video is Flash. Of course, its ability is Flash, and what it does is it teleports you forward in the direction you're looking. As you use this glove, you get pretty used to how far exactly it teleports you, and you get really used to like teleporting behind people and then flipping around and knocking them off the edge if they're pursuing you. It's pretty fun, and this is definitely the top glove I'd recommend out of this section. And the reason for that is because it has both offensive and defensive capability, meaning you can use your teleport aggressively to get to someone who's close to the edge and knock them off quickly with very little risk, but you also can use it defensively to get away out of a bad situation. Take for instance the situation earlier where if you're playing with Pull and you're near the edge, you can sometimes just lose depending on what glove the enemy has. In this case, you could just teleport behind them and then knock them off anyway, so it's definitely a lot more effective. and at the very least it does put you in a position where you could win the fight. So I'd say it's definitely the top for a good reason. Now that we've worked out your early game glove choice, let's move on to the next part of the video. This is about playing too close to the danger. And of course the danger is subjective, it's relative to the situation you're in. Put simply, it could just be standing near the edge of the island and just letting someone hit you off. Obviously we want to avoid that. But further than that, it could be choosing not to fight someone that has a glove that's just going to one-shot you. So you need to be aware of what you're dealing with and how to avoid dangerous opponents. And sometimes the danger is more abstract. Like for example, if the enemy is hiding their glove and you don't know what they could possibly pull out, then there's a probably pretty good chance that it's going to be something that one-shots you. So you should wait until someone else makes them reveal what they're hiding before you go and fight them in most cases. We don't have enough time in this video to go into every single dangerous glove that you could possibly run into, but a good rule of thumb is if the glove is constantly making a sound that sounds kinda spooky, stay away from it until you see someone else get hit by, and then you know what it does. After all, you'd rather be safe than launched into orbit. And for the final part of our video, we're going to be covering how to manage your ability cooldowns. You don't ever want to be caught in a situation where your ability is down and you're close to the edge and you have no way to defend yourself or escape. You want to avoid those situations. And the best way to do that is to avoid fighting and play for time while your ability is on cooldown if it's going to result in you having some kind of an advantage. So for example, if you're playing with Flash Glove and you flash in and you try to hit somebody and surprise them, but they notice and dodge or otherwise hit you closer to the edge, then maybe you want to try to just play for time. Of course, what I mean by that is to simply just delay, jump around, kind of kite them out a little bit, and just make them all just confused over what to do. Maybe they'll be scared of you and they won't want to fight either, and by the time they realize what you're doing, your cooldown will be up. There are more than a couple gloves in this game that actually have incredibly powerful cooldowns. One example of that would be the Slapple Glove. Its ability is called Defensive Tree, and basically what it does is it just launches you up into the air up on top of a tree that knocks back anything that's close to you when you use it. While it is great for a defensive tool, because you can just sit on top of it and wait for the cooldown to come back up until you're safe, it's also an incredible offensive tool to knock people that are close to the edge right off with the knockback. And because of that, it's one of my go-to gloves. I didn't mention it earlier because the condition to actually get it can be a little unreliable, let's say. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the video on screen now. And if you would, please leave a like and a comment and maybe even subscribe if you're feeling generous. I would appreciate it. It goes a long way. Thank you for watching.